The sun was bright in the sky as Mike pulled up to Pete's coffee shop on his big black motorcycle. The engine made a loud noise as he turned it off. People turned to look at him as he got off his bike. Mike liked when people looked at him. He thought he looked cool in his black leather jacket with many patches on it. Mike was tall and strong with a thick beard. His arms had many tattoos. He was known in town as a tough guy who often got into trouble. Most people stayed away from him. Mike didn't care. He liked being feared. "The usual, Pete," Mike said as he walked into the coffee shop. Pete, the owner, nodded without smiling. He didn't like Mike but needed the business. Mike sat at a table outside and drank his coffee. He watched people walk by. Some people walked with their dogs. Mike didn't like dogs. He thought they were dirty and annoying. Across the street was a small park. People often took their dogs there to play. Mike watched as a small Jack Russell Terrier ran around chasing a ball. The dog was white with brown spots and full of energy. It ran back and forth, playing by itself. Mike finished his coffee and was about to leave when he noticed something. The dog was alone. There was no owner watching it. The small dog had wandered away from the park and was now near the street. "Stupid dog," Mike thought. "Someone should teach it a lesson about running off." Mike looked around. No one seemed to be watching. A cruel smile spread across his face. He walked toward the small dog, who wagged its tail when it saw Mike coming. The little dog looked up at Mike with friendly eyes. It had no idea that Mike wasn't a nice person. The dog's name was Max, but Mike didn't know or care about that. He only cared about having some fun. "Hey there, little dog," Mike said in a fake nice voice. The dog wagged its tail harder. With a quick movement, Mike kicked the dog. Not hard enough to really hurt it badly, but enough to make it yelp in pain and surprise. The little dog jumped back and looked at Mike with confused eyes. Mike laughed. He thought it was funny to see the dog scared and confused. "That'll teach you," he said to the dog. What Mike didn't know was that someone was watching him. A woman named Lisa was sitting on a bench nearby. She had seen everything. "Hey," Lisa shouted, "what do you think you're doing?" Mike turned and saw Lisa standing up from her bench. He just shrugged. "Mind your own business, lady," he said. Lisa took out her phone and started recording. "I'm calling the police," she said. "You can't just kick animals." Mike wasn't worried. He knew the police wouldn't come quickly for something so small. He started walking back to his motorcycle. The little dog had run away after being kicked. It ran to the other side of the park where a man was just arriving. The dog ran straight to him, making small crying sounds. The man picked up the dog and looked around with a frown. He had heard his dog cry out. The man was not very tall, but he had strong arms and a serious face. He wore sunglasses and a plain black t-shirt. "What's wrong, Max?" the man asked his dog in a deep voice with a British accent. The dog trembled in his arms. The man looked across the park and saw Mike walking to his motorcycle. He saw Lisa pointing at Mike and talking on her phone. Something clicked in the man's mind. His face became very serious. He put Max down gently and told him to stay. The man started walking toward Mike with purpose in each step. People who saw him moving started to whisper. Some took out their phones. "Is that who I think it is?" someone said. Mike didn't notice any of this as he put on his helmet. He had no idea that the dog's owner was Jason Statham, the famous movie star known for his action movies and tough guy roles. And Jason was coming right for him. Jason Statham walked with quick steps toward Mike. His face was hard like stone. People in the park moved out of his way. Some began filming with their phones. "That's him. That's Jason Statham," a young man whispered to his friend. But Jason didn't care about the people watching. He only cared about his dog Max and the man who had hurt him. Mike was still by his motorcycle, putting on his gloves. He hadn't noticed Jason coming toward him. He was thinking about where to go next, maybe to the bar across town where his friends would be. "Excuse me," said a deep voice with a British accent. Mike turned around and saw a man standing there. He didn't know who Jason Statham was. Mike just saw a man who looked strong but was shorter than him. "What do you want?" Mike asked in a rude voice. "Did you just kick a small dog over there?" Jason asked. His voice was calm, but his eyes were not. Mike laughed. "So what if I did? It's just a stupid dog. It shouldn't be running around without a leash." Jason took a deep breath. He was trying hard to stay calm. "That dog is mine," he said. "His name is Max." For the first time, Mike felt a little worried. The man in front of him looked very serious, but Mike was too proud to back down. "Well, you should keep better watch on your mutt," Mike said with a smirk. He was in my way. Lisa, the woman who had seen everything, walked up to them. "I saw him kick your dog for no reason," she told Jason. "I have it on video." A small crowd had gathered around them now. People were watching closely, many recording with their phones. Some had recognized Jason Statham and were excited to see the famous actor in person. "Let me see the video," Jason said to Lisa. She showed him the video on her phone. It clearly showed Mike kicking Max while the dog was just standing there, not bothering anyone. Jason's face grew darker as he watched. When the video ended, he handed the phone back to Lisa and turned to Mike. "You think it's funny to hurt animals that can't fight back?" Jason asked. His voice was still quiet, but there was anger in it now. Mike started to feel nervous. The crowd around them was getting bigger. Many people were giving him mean looks. "Look, man, it was just a joke," Mike said. "I didn't kick him that hard." "A joke?" Jason stepped closer to Mike. "Would it be funny if someone bigger than you kicked you for no reason?" Mike took a step back and bumped into his motorcycle. It almost fell over, but he caught it. "Listen, I don't want any trouble," Mike said. His voice was not so tough now. "You should have thought about that before you hurt my dog," Jason said. A police car pulled up to the curb. Lisa had called them earlier. Two officers got out and walked toward the crowd. "What's going on here?" one of the officers asked. "This man kicked my dog," Jason said, pointing at Mike. "This lady has it on video." The police officers looked surprised when they saw Jason Statham. They knew who he was right away. "Mr. Statham, is your dog okay?" the second officer asked. "I need to take him to a vet to make sure," Jason said. "But first, I want to press charges against this man." Mike's face turned pale. He never thought kicking a dog would lead to this. Now he was in trouble with the police, and a crowd of people were watching and filming. "I didn't know it was your dog," Mike said to Jason, as if that made it better. "It shouldn't matter whose dog it is," Jason replied. "You don't hurt animals for fun." The officers asked Lisa to show them the video. After watching it, they turned to Mike. "Sir, we're going to need your ID," one officer said. "You're being cited for animal cruelty." Mike looked around at all the faces watching him. He saw their judgment. He saw the phones recording everything. And he saw Jason Statham standing tall, protecting his dog. For the first time in a long time, Mike felt ashamed. The police officers wrote down Mike's information. One officer handed him a yellow paper, a ticket for animal cruelty. Mike's hands shook as he took it. He had never been in trouble with the law before. He always thought he was too smart to get caught. "This is a court summons," the officer explained. "You need to appear in court on this date." He pointed to a date on the paper. "If you don't show up, we'll issue a warrant for your arrest." Mike nodded without speaking. His mouth felt dry. The crowd around them was still filming everything. Jason knelt down to check on Max. The small dog limped over to him, still wagging his tail. Jason picked him up carefully and checked his leg and side where Mike had kicked him. "I'm taking him to the vet now," Jason told the officers. "Can I get a copy of the report for the vet?" "Of course, Mr. Statham," the officer said. "We'll email it to you right away." Lisa stepped forward. "I can send you the video too," she offered. "I got a clear shot of everything that happened." Jason thanked her and gave her his email address. The crowd watched in silence, some people still recording. Many were posting the videos online already. The story of Jason Statham confronting a dog kicker was spreading fast. Mike tried to get on his motorcycle to leave, but one of the officers stopped him. "We're not done yet, sir," the officer said. "We need to take your statement." Mike sighed heavily. This was getting worse by the minute. He looked at the crowd watching him and felt his face burn with shame. A young boy in the crowd pointed at Mike. "Mom, is that man going to jail for being mean to the dog?" he asked in a loud voice. The mother bent down to her son. "I don't know, honey, but he's in big trouble." Mike heard this and looked down at his boots. He had never thought about how his actions looked through a child's eyes. Meanwhile, Jason was getting ready to leave with Max. A woman approached him with concern on her face. "Is your dog going to be okay, Mr. Statham?" she asked. Jason gave a small smile. "I think so. Max is tough, like his owner. But I want a vet to check him to be sure." The woman nodded. "I love dogs. I can't understand why anyone would hurt them." "Some people think being cruel makes them powerful," Jason said, looking at Mike. "They're wrong." Jason carried Max to his car, a black Range Rover parked nearby. Someone opened the door for him, and he gently placed Max on the front seat. Before getting in the car, Jason turned to look at Mike one more time. Their eyes met across the crowd. Jason didn't say anything. He didn't need to. His look said everything. Mike felt something he hadn't felt in years. True regret. Not just for getting caught, but for what he had done. The police finished taking statements from witnesses. Many people had seen what happened. All their stories matched. Mike had kicked the dog for no reason. "Can I go now?" Mike asked the officers. "Yes, but remember your court date," one officer replied. "And stay away from Mr. Statham and his dog." Mike nodded and got on his motorcycle. As he started the engine, he noticed people were still filming him. Yesterday, he would have loved all this attention. Today, it made him feel sick. As he rode away, Mike could hear people talking about him. They weren't saying nice things. He knew this wasn't over. In fact, it was just beginning. Jason drove to the nearest animal hospital with Max. He called his friend, who was a veterinarian. "I'm coming in with Max," he said on the phone. "Someone hurt him. Can you see us right away?" The news about what happened in the park was already spreading online. By the time Jason reached the animal hospital, the video had thousands of views. Mike drove home slowly, thinking about what he had done and what would happen next. The ticket in his pocket felt heavy, like it weighed 100 pounds. At the animal hospital, Jason carried Max through the front door. The staff recognized him right away. "Mr. Statham, we're ready for Max," said Dr. Reed, a kind woman with gray hair who had been a vet for 20 years. "Come this way." They went into a clean, bright room. Jason put Max gently on the metal table. The little dog was still shaking a bit but wagged his tail when the doctor petted him. "What happened?" Dr. Reed asked as she began checking Max carefully. Jason explained about Mike kicking Max at the park. His voice was calm, but his eyes showed how angry he still was. "People can be so cruel," Dr. Reed said, shaking her head. She felt along Max's side and leg. "He's flinching when I touch here. Let's take some x-rays to be safe." While Max was getting x-rays, Jason sat in the waiting room. His phone kept buzzing with messages. The video of him confronting Mike was all over the internet now. Many news sites wanted to talk to him about what happened. Jason ignored most messages, but he did answer one from his friend Tom, who was a police officer. "Just saw the video," Tom's message said. "Need any help with this?" "Thanks, mate," Jason wrote back. "The police have it under control. Just waiting for Max's x-rays now." Back at his small apartment, Mike sat on his couch feeling terrible. His phone kept ringing with calls from friends who had seen the videos online. "Dude, did you really kick Jason Statham's dog?" his friend Ryan asked when Mike finally answered. "I didn't know it was his dog," Mike said. "How was I supposed to know?" "That doesn't matter," Ryan said. "You can't go around kicking dogs, man. What's wrong with you?" Mike didn't have a good answer. He hung up and turned off his phone. He turned on his TV and almost fell off the couch when he saw his own face on the news. The reporter was talking about the incident at the park. A local man is facing animal cruelty charges after kicking actor Jason Statham's dog in City Park today, the reporter said. The incident was caught on video by several witnesses. Mike covered his face with his hands. His mother was going to see this. His boss, too. Everyone would know what he did. Back at the animal hospital, Dr. Reed showed Jason the X-ray results. "Good news," she said. "No broken bones. Max has some bruising on his side and will be sore for a few days, but he'll be fine." Jason let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. "That's great news. Thanks, Doc." Dr. Reed gave Jason some pain medicine for Max. "Keep him calm for a few days. No running or jumping. And bring him back next week so I can check him again." Jason nodded and paid the bill. He didn't care about the money. He was just happy Max would be okay. As he was leaving the animal hospital with Max in his arms, Jason noticed a small crowd of reporters outside. Someone must have told them he was there. "Mr. Statham, can we ask you about what happened at the park?" one reporter called out. Jason usually avoided reporters, but today he decided to stop. This was important. He held Max carefully and faced the cameras. "I'm not here to talk about movies," he said in his deep voice. "I'm here because someone hurt my dog, Max. Animal cruelty is never okay. If you see it happening, report it." The reporters asked more questions, but Jason was done talking. He got into his car with Max and drove home. That night, as Jason sat on his couch with Max sleeping beside him, his phone buzzed with a message from Lisa, the woman who had recorded the video. "Thought you might want to know," her message said. "The video has over 1 million views now. People are really upset about what that man did." Jason looked at Max, peaceful in his sleep. He hoped some good would come from all this. Maybe people would think twice before hurting an animal. Meanwhile, Mike lay in bed, unable to sleep. Tomorrow, he would have to face everyone knowing what he had done. And in a few weeks, he would have to face a judge. The next morning, Mike woke up feeling sick to his stomach. He checked his phone and found hundreds of messages. Some were from friends asking what happened. Many were from strangers who had seen the video. These messages were not nice. "You're a monster. Who kicks a helpless dog? Hope you go to jail." Mike turned off his phone again and got ready for work. He worked at a car repair shop in town. As he walked to his motorcycle, his neighbor Mrs. Wilson was in her yard. She always waved to Mike in the mornings. Today, she turned her back when she saw him. When Mike got to work, everyone stopped talking as he walked in. His boss, Tony, called him into the office right away. "Mike, we need to talk," Tony said, pointing to a chair. "I've seen the video. Everyone has seen it." Mike sat down, his head low. "I know. I messed up." Tony shook his head. "That's putting it mildly. We've been getting calls all morning. People saying they won't bring their cars here if we keep you working here." Mike looked up quickly. "What are you saying?" "I'm sorry, Mike. I have to let you go. I can't have you working here anymore." Mike felt like the floor was falling away under him. "But I've worked here for 3 years. And you threw it all away when you decided to kick a dog for fun," Tony said firmly. "Clean out your locker and go home." Across town, Jason was at home with Max. The little dog was moving slower than usual but seemed to be feeling better. Jason's phone rang. It was his agent, Claire. "Jason, everyone is talking about what happened yesterday," Claire said. 3 morning shows want you to come on and talk about it." Jason thought about it. He usually said no to talk shows. But this was different. "Okay," he said, "but only if we can talk about animal cruelty and how to stop it. I don't want this to be about me. I'll set it up, Claire promised. And there's something else. Pet Safe, that big pet food company, wants to donate $100,000 to an animal shelter of your choice after hearing what happened. Jason smiled. That's brilliant. Tell them yes. After hanging up, Jason sat on the floor next to Max, gently petting his soft fur. Maybe something good could come from this bad situation. Later that day, Mike sat alone in his apartment. He had lost his job. His friends weren't answering his calls. He felt alone and ashamed. His doorbell rang. Mike opened it to find a delivery person with an envelope. "Michael Davidson," the delivery person asked. "That's me," Mike said. "Sign here." The delivery person handed Mike a pen. Inside the envelope were legal papers. Mike was being sued by Jason Statham for veterinary costs and emotional distress to Max. It wasn't a huge amount of money, but Mike was now without a job. Mike sat down heavily on his couch. Things were getting worse. His phone rang. It was his mother. "Michael, I saw the news," she said when he answered. Her voice sounded sad and disappointed. "How could you do such a thing?" "I don't know, Mom," Mike said honestly. "I wasn't thinking." "Well, you have plenty of time to think now," she said. "What are you going to do?" Mike stared at the legal papers in his hand. "I guess I need to start making things right." That evening, Jason appeared on the local news. He brought Max with him, who sat calmly on his lap during the interview. "I don't want to focus on the person who did this," Jason said to the reporter. "I want to focus on the bigger issue. Animal cruelty happens every day, and most cases don't get this much attention because the dog doesn't belong to someone famous." The reporter nodded. "What do you hope comes from all this attention?" Jason looked down at Max, then back at the camera. "I hope it makes people think twice before hurting any animal. And I hope it encourages people to speak up when they see it happening, like Lisa did at the park." As Mike watched the interview on his TV, he realized something important. This wasn't about him anymore. It was about something much bigger. And somehow, he needed to find a way to make things right. 3 days passed. Mike hadn't left his apartment. Food delivery bags piled up in his trash. He hadn't shaved, and his clothes were the same ones he had worn for days. The phone rang. Mike almost didn't answer it. He didn't want to hear more angry people. But it might be about a job. He needed work. "Hello," Mike said. "Mr. Davidson, this is Martin Wells. I'm a lawyer." Mike sat up straight. "Are you with Mr. Statham?" "No," Martin said. "I saw your situation on the news. I think I can help you. Can we meet today?" Mike agreed to meet the lawyer at a small office downtown. He showered and put on clean clothes for the first time in days. When he walked outside, a woman walking her dog crossed the street to avoid him. Mike looked down and kept walking. At the lawyer's office, Martin Wells was younger than Mike expected. He wore glasses and had a friendly face. "Mr. Davidson, sit down," Martin said. "Let's talk about your options." "Am I going to jail?" Mike asked right away. Martin shook his head. "For a first-time animal cruelty charge like this, probably not. But you could face a large fine, community service, and a permanent record." Mike nodded. "I deserve it." Martin looked surprised. "That's not what most clients say." "Well, I did it. I kicked a dog. It was stupid and mean." Mike looked at his hands. "I've lost everything because of it." Martin studied Mike's face. "You seem truly sorry." "I am," Mike said. "I keep thinking about that little dog's face when I kicked him. He didn't understand why I would hurt him." Martin nodded. "That's good, Mr. Davidson. Remorse will help with the judge. But I think we need more. I have an idea that might help everyone." Meanwhile, Jason was at home reading scripts for new movies. Max lay at his feet, almost fully recovered. The phone rang. "Mr. Statham, this is Martin Wells. I represent Michael Davidson, the man who kicked your dog." Jason's face hardened. "What do you want?" My client would like to meet with you. He has a proposal that might surprise you. Jason's first thought was to say no, but something in the lawyer's voice made him curious. I'm listening, Jason said. The next day, Mike walked into a small room at the lawyer's office. His heart was beating fast. Jason Statham sat at a table, looking serious. Max was not with him. Mr. Statham, Mike said, his voice shaking a little. Thank you for meeting me. Jason just nodded. He didn't smile or offer to shake hands. Mike sat down across from him. First, I want to say I'm truly sorry for what I did to Max. It was cruel, and there's no excuse for it. Jason watched Mike's face carefully, looking for signs that he was lying. He saw none. I thought a lot about why I did it, Mike continued. I think I was trying to feel powerful by hurting something smaller than me. It's how I've been living my whole life, trying to seem tough and not caring who I hurt. Jason's expression softened just a little. Go on. Mike took a deep breath. I know I have to face what I did in court. I'm ready for that. But I want to do more. I want to make something good come from this. Jason leaned forward, interested now. What do you mean? Mike opened a folder and pushed some papers across the table. This is my proposal. Instead of fighting the charges, I want to plead guilty. I'll pay any fine and do community service. Jason looked at the papers. That's just facing the consequences you already have. There's more, Mike said. I want to work with an animal shelter, not just as punishment, but for the next year. I want to help animals that have been hurt by people like me. Jason raised his eyebrows. This was not what he expected. And, Mike continued, I want to make a video telling my story, about what I did and why it was wrong. Maybe it will stop someone else from hurting an animal. Jason was quiet for a moment. Then he said, you know people won't forgive you easily. They'll say you're just doing this to get a lighter sentence. Mike nodded. I know, and maybe that's partly true, but I also really want to change. When I saw Max's face after I kicked him, something broke inside me. I never want to be that person again. For the first time since they met, Jason Statham gave Mike a small nod of respect. 2 weeks later, Mike stood before Judge Wilson in a small courtroom. He wore a clean suit borrowed from his cousin. His hair was neatly cut, and he had shaved his beard. He looked very different from the man who had kicked Max in the park. Michael Davidson, the judge said, looking at the papers in front of her, you are charged with animal cruelty. How do you plead? Mike stood up straight. Guilty, Your Honor. The judge nodded. I see you have worked out an agreement with the victim, Mr. Jason Statham. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor, said Martin Wells, Mike's lawyer. The judge looked past Mike to where Jason sat in the back of the courtroom. Max was not with him today. Mr. Statham, are you satisfied with this agreement? The judge asked. Jason stood up. I am, Your Honor. Mr. Davidson has shown real remorse. I believe his plan to work with the animal shelter will do more good than a harsh punishment. The judge looked surprised. It wasn't often that victims asked for lighter sentences. She turned back to Mike. Mr. Davidson, you understand that even with Mr. Statham's support, you must face consequences for your actions. Yes, Your Honor. I'm ready to accept whatever punishment you think is fair. Judge Wilson studied Mike's face for a moment. Then she announced her decision. Michael Davidson, I sentence you to 1 year of probation, a fine of $2,000, and 500 hours of community service at the Main Street Animal Shelter. You will also attend 12 anger management classes. Mike nodded. Thank you, Your Honor. As Mike left the courtroom with his lawyer, reporters waited outside. Cameras flashed in his face, and people shouted questions. Mike, do you regret what you did? Was this all for show? Are you sorry you got caught, or sorry you did it? Mike stopped walking. Martin tried to pull him along, but Mike shook his head. He turned to face the reporters. I did a terrible thing, Mike said clearly. I hurt an innocent animal for no reason. There's no excuse for that." The reporters went quiet, surprised that Mike was talking to them. "I'm not asking anyone to forgive me," Mike continued, "but I am going to spend the next year trying to help animals that have been hurt or abandoned. And I hope my story stops someone else from making the same mistake I did." A reporter called out, "Is this just to get good publicity?" Mike shook his head. "I don't expect good publicity. What I did was wrong. Nothing can change that. But I can try to do better from now on." As Mike walked away, Jason watched from the courthouse steps. He wasn't sure if Mike was truly changed or just saying what people wanted to hear. Only time would tell. The next day, Mike went to the Main Street Animal Shelter for his first day of community service. The shelter manager, a woman named Rita, met him at the door. She had gray hair and kind eyes, but her face was serious. "I know who you are," Rita said. "Everyone here does." Mike nodded. "I understand if you don't want me here." "The judge says you have to work here, so you will," Rita said. "But let me be clear. We care about animals here. If I see any sign that you might harm one of our animals, you're done. I don't care what the judge says." "I understand," Mike said. "I promise I won't hurt any animals. I want to help." Rita didn't look convinced. "We'll see. For now, you'll clean the cages. No handling the animals yet." Mike followed Rita to a room full of dog cages. Each cage had a dog inside, looking at Mike with hopeful eyes. Some wagged their tails. Others looked scared. Rita handed Mike cleaning supplies. "Start with these cages. When you're done, we'll see what else needs to be done." As Rita left, Mike looked at all the dogs. Some were big, some small. Some looked healthy, others thin or injured. They all needed help. For the first time in weeks, Mike felt a sense of purpose. He might not be able to fix what he had done to Max, but he could help these dogs. And maybe, just maybe, he could become a better person in the process. He picked up the cleaning supplies and got to work. 3 months passed. Mike went to the animal shelter every day after his new job at a warehouse. The work at the shelter was hard. He cleaned cages, washed dogs, and took out lots of trash. His hands became rough from the work, but he never complained. Rita, the shelter manager, watched him closely at first. She didn't trust him. But as weeks went by, she saw how gentle Mike was with the animals. She noticed he stayed late many days without being asked. Slowly, her opinion of him began to change. "Mike, can you come to my office?" Rita called one day. Mike worried he had done something wrong. He walked into Rita's small office and sat down. "You've been here 3 months now," Rita said. "I've been watching you." Mike nodded but didn't speak. "When you first came, I thought you were just doing this because the court made you," Rita continued. "But I've seen how you are with the animals, especially with Rocky." Rocky was an old German shepherd who had been left at the shelter. He was scared of most people, especially men. But for some reason, he liked Mike. "Rocky needs someone to work with him every day," Rita said. "He needs to learn to trust people again. I think you should be the one to do it." Mike sat up straight, surprised. "You'd trust me to work directly with a dog?" Rita nodded. "I think you've earned it. What do you say?" "I'd like that very much," Mike said, feeling proud for the first time in months. That same day across town, Jason Statham was at a charity event for animal welfare. He had become a spokesperson for the cause after what happened with Max. The small Jack Russell Terrier was with him, happily greeting people who stopped to say hello. A reporter approached Jason. "Mr. Statham, it's been 3 months since the incident with your dog. Have you heard anything about the man who kicked him?" Jason nodded. "I have. Michael Davidson is working at the Main Street Animal Shelter as part of his sentence. I hear he's doing well." "Do you think he's really changed?" the reporter asked. Jason thought for a moment. "I believe people can change if they truly want to. Time will tell if Mr. Davidson is one of those people." The reporter wrote this down. "Would you ever consider meeting with him again?" "Maybe someday," Jason said. For now, I'm focused on helping other animals in need." The next week, Mike worked with Rocky every day. The big dog was scared at first, backing away when Mike came near. But Mike was patient. He sat on the floor and talked to Rocky in a soft voice. He didn't try to touch him until Rocky was ready. Other workers at the shelter noticed the change in Mike. He smiled more. He talked to the animals as he worked. One day, Mike even brought in homemade dog treats he had baked himself. "These are good," Rita said after trying one. "What's in them?" "Peanut butter, oats, and a little honey," Mike said. "I found the recipe online. Dogs love peanut butter." Rita smiled. This was not the same angry man who had started at the shelter 3 months ago. One evening, as Mike was getting ready to leave, he saw a small dog being brought in. The dog was dirty and very thin. Its fur was matted, and it limped on one leg. "Found him behind the grocery store," said Tom, the man who brought the dog in. Poor little guy was eating from the trash. Mike knelt down to look at the dog. It was a Jack Russell Terrier mix, similar to Max. The dog cowered away from Mike, afraid. "It's okay," Mike said softly. "No one's going to hurt you here." Rita watched as Mike gently offered his hand to the scared dog. After a moment, the dog sniffed his hand and gave it a tiny lick. "He needs a bath, some food, and a vet check," Rita said. "But it's late, and everyone's going home." Mike looked up. "I can stay. I'll give him a bath and feed him. I don't mind." Rita studied Mike's face. She saw only concern for the dog there. "Okay," she agreed. "I'll call Dr. Lee and see if she can stop by to check him." As Rita walked away, Mike carefully picked up the small dog. "Let's get you cleaned up, little guy. You're safe now." The dog relaxed in Mike's arms, as if it somehow knew Mike would protect it. And in that moment, Mike made a silent promise that he would. Later, as Mike gently washed the dirt from the dog's fur, he thought about how much his life had changed in 3 monhs. He had lost friends, his reputation, and his old job. But somehow, he had gained something more important, a sense of purpose and the knowledge that he could be better than he was before. 1 year had passed since the day Mike kicked Max in the park. It was a warm spring day, much like that fateful day a year ago. But Mike was a different person now. He stood in the Main Street Animal Shelter, wearing a blue shirt with the shelter's logo. He was no longer doing community service. 6 months ago, when his required hours were done, Rita had offered him a part-time job. Mike had said yes right away. "Mike, can you bring Buddy to the meet and greet room?" Rita called. "His new family is here." Mike smiled and walked to a cage where a brown mixed-breed dog waited. This was the same dog Mike had bathed that night 9 months ago, the small Jack Russell Terrier mix who had been found behind the grocery store. Mike had named him Buddy. "Hey there, Buddy," Mike said, opening the cage. "Today's your big day." Buddy wagged his tail and jumped up on Mike, licking his hand. The dog had come a long way from the scared, dirty animal he had been. Now he was healthy, happy, and about to go to his forever home. Mike led Buddy to the meet and greet room where a family waited. A mom, dad, and 2 small children. The kids' eyes lit up when they saw Buddy. "He's perfect," the little girl said, kneeling down to pet him. Mike watched as Buddy gently licked the girl's face, making her giggle. It was always hard to say goodbye to the animals he helped save, but seeing them find loving homes made it worth it. As the family filled out the adoption papers, the front door of the shelter opened. Mike looked up and froze. Jason Statham walked in, with Max on a leash beside him. It had been a year since Mike had seen them. He had read about Jason's work for animal welfare. The actor had raised millions of dollars for shelters across the country, but they had not met face to face since the court hearing. Mike didn't know what to do. Should he hide in the back room? Should he pretend he didn't see them? Before he could decide, Jason looked his way. Their eyes met across the room. Jason said something to the receptionist, then walked toward Mike. Max trotted beside him, looking happy and healthy. Mike's heart beat fast, but he stood his ground. "Mr. Statham," Mike said when Jason reached him, "I didn't expect to see you here." "Call me Jason," the actor said. "Rita told me you work here now." Mike nodded. "Part-time. I still have my warehouse job, but I come here every day I can." Jason looked at Buddy, who was now playing with the children. "Is that one of yours?" "Yes," Mike said, feeling proud. "I helped rescue him. He's going home with that family today." Jason watched the dog playing with the kids. "Rita says you've rescued 17 dogs this year." Mike was surprised that Rita had talked to Jason about him. "I try to help where I can." There was an awkward silence. Then Jason said, "I saw your video. The one where you talk about what happened and why animal cruelty is wrong. It was good." "Thank you," Mike said. "I meant every word." Jason nodded. He seemed to be making a decision. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card. "I'm starting a new project," Jason said. "It's a program that pairs at-risk youth with rescue dogs. The kids learn to train and care for the dogs, and the dogs get the attention they need. I think your story would be powerful for these kids to hear." Mike took the card, surprised. "You want me to be part of your program?" "If you're interested," Jason said. "Rita says you're good with the difficult cases, the scared dogs that don't trust people. That's a special skill." Mike didn't know what to say. A year ago, he had been the villain in this story. Now Jason Statham was offering him a chance to make an even bigger difference. "I'd be honored," Mike finally said. Jason nodded, then looked down at Max. "You remember Mike, don't you?" Max looked at Mike, his tail wagging slightly. There was no fear in the dog's eyes. "Can I?" Mike asked, holding out his hand. Jason nodded. Mike knelt down and gently offered his hand to Max. The small dog sniffed it, then gave it a small lick. Mike felt tears in his eyes. He didn't deserve this forgiveness, but he was grateful for it. "Thank you," Mike said, looking up at Jason. "Not just for this chance, but for that day in the park too. You could have hurt me like I hurt Max, but you chose to be better than that. You showed me what real strength is." Jason offered his hand to help Mike up. As they shook hands, both men knew that something important had come full circle. From one moment of cruelty had come a year of change, growth, and now, a chance for redemption. Mike's mistake had led him to find his purpose, helping animals that needed someone to care for them. And maybe, just maybe, his story would help others find a better path too. "Ready to get started?" Jason asked. Mike nodded, more than ready. As they walked out of the shelter together, Max walking between them, Mike thought about how different his life was now. He had lost much, but gained so much more. He had found a way to make amends, not just to one dog, but to many. And in doing so, he had found himself.